First contact and betrayal. The vast expanse of space had always beckoned humanity, promising adventure and discovery. When the Zarkonian ships first appeared in Earth's orbit, the world held its breath. First contact had finally arrived. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the E's Horizon, Earth's most advanced starship. Her weathered face betrayed no emotion as she watched the alien vessels approach. After decades of preparation, humanity was about to step onto the galactic stage. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Lid Zarkonian ship," her communications officer reported. Sarah nodded. "Put it through." A holographic image flickered to life, revealing a tall, slender being with iridescent scales and piercing silver eyes. "Greetings, humans. I am High Emissary Vexlor of the Zarkonian Imperium. We come in peace." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of diplomatic exchanges and cultural sharing. The Zarkonians seemed genuinely interested in Earth and its inhabitants. They spoke of a galactic community, of trade and mutual benefits. But beneath the surface, tensions simmered. Dr. Marcus Rivera, Earth's lead xenobiologist, couldn't shake a feeling of unease. "There's something they're not telling us," he confided to Sarah during a private meeting. "Their technology is advanced, but not as advanced as they're letting on. It's almost as if they're testing us." Sarah frowned. "What are you suggesting, Marcus?" "I'm not sure," he admitted, "but we need to be careful." As the days passed, the Zarkonians began to show their true colors. They made thinly veiled demands for resources, hinting at dire consequences if Earth didn't comply. The United Earth government refused, standing firm in its resolve to protect humanity's interests. Tensions reached a boiling point during a summit on the neutral space station Harmony. Sarah and Marcus were part of the Earth delegation, led by Ambassador Lydia Okoro. The Zarkonian delegation, headed by Vexlor, seemed agitated from the start. As Lydia presented Earth's counter-proposal to the Zarkonian demands, Vexlor's patience snapped. "Enough," he snarled, rising to his feet. "You humans are more troublesome than we anticipated. Perhaps a demonstration of our power will make you more cooperative." Before anyone could react, Vexlor pulled out a strange device and aimed it at Lydia. A beam of energy lanced out, striking the ambassador in the chest. She crumpled to the ground, her eyes wide with shock. Chaos erupted in the conference room. Sarah lunged for Vexlor, but Zarkonian guards materialized, creating a barrier between the humans and their leader. Marcus knelt beside Lydia, desperately checking for signs of life. "This is your only warning," Vexlor announced, his voice cold. "Submit to the Imperium or face annihilation. You have one Earth rotation to decide." As the Zarkonians teleported away, Sarah helped Marcus tend to Lydia. The ambassador's pulse was weak, but she was alive. Barely. "We need to get her back to Earth," Marcus said urgently. "I've never seen technology like this. The energy beam. It's done something to her at a cellular level." Sarah's face hardened. "Get her to the medical bay. I need to contact Earth Command immediately." As they rushed Lydia to the horizon, alarms blared throughout the station. The Zarkonian fleet was powering up its weapons, targeting Earth's colonies on Mars and the Moon. In the Horizon's command center, Sarah received a priority transmission from Earth. The grim face of Fleet Admiral Jae-hoon Park filled the screen. "Chen, the Zarkonians have launched attacks on our outer colonies. We're getting reports of massive casualties. As of this moment, we are at war." Sarah's mind raced. The Zarkonians clearly thought they had the upper hand, but they had no idea what humanity was truly capable of. Years of secret military advancements, hidden from the galaxy at large, were about to be unleashed. "Understood, sir," Sarah replied, her voice steady. "What are your orders?" Admiral Park's eyes gleamed with determination. "Initiate Operation Sleeping Giant. It's time to show these aliens why they should never have underestimated humanity." As the transmission ended, Sarah turned to her crew. The bridge was silent, every face etched with a mixture of fear and resolve. "You heard the Admiral," she said, her voice ringing with authority. "Sound battle stations. We're taking the fight to the Zarkonians." The Horizon's engines roared to life, advanced stealth systems engaging as they prepared to strike back. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, and now it was time to push back. The Zarkonians thought they knew what humans were capable of, but they were about to learn how wrong they were. As the ship accelerated towards the nearest Zarkonian vessel, Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The aliens had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity. Now, they would face the full fury of a species fighting for its survival. The battle for Earth's future had begun, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why they were a force to be reckoned with. Humanity unleashed. The EA's Horizon streaked through space, its advanced stealth systems rendering it invisible to Zarkonian sensors. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the alien fleet bombarding Earth's Martian colonies. "Status report," Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Her XO, Commander Rajpatal, responded crisply. "Quantum shields at full power, Nova Pulse cannons charged and ready, swarm drones prepped for deployment." Sarah nodded, a hint of satisfaction in her eyes. For years, humanity had kept its true technological capabilities hidden, preparing for a moment just like this. The Zarkonians were about to face weapons and defenses they couldn't have imagined. "All hands, battle stations," Sarah announced shipwide. "Initiate Operation Thunderbolt." The Horizon decloaked directly behind the Zarkonian flagship, its sudden appearance catching the aliens completely off guard. Before they could react, the human vessel unleashed a barrage of Novapulse energy, the hyper-condensed plasma beams slicing through the alien ship's shields like they were tissue paper. Simultaneously, swarms of AI-driven microdrones poured out of the Horizon's launch bays, enveloping nearby Zarkonian ships in clouds of destructive nanomachines that began dismantling their hulls at the atomic level. The aliens retaliated, their energy weapons flaring across space, but the Horizon's quantum shields held firm, the attacks dissipating harmlessly against the advanced defensive barrier. As the battle raged, Dr. Marcus Rivera worked feverishly in the Horizon's medical bay, fighting to save Ambassador Lydia Okoro's life. The Zarkonian weapon had done unprecedented damage to her cellular structure, but Marcus had a few tricks up his sleeve. "Initiating nanite healing protocol," he muttered, injecting Lydia with a solution of medical nanobots. These microscopic machines, a closely guarded secret of Earth's medical community, began repairing Lydia's body at the cellular level. Back on the bridge, Sarah received a priority communication from Earth. Admiral Park's hologram appeared, his face grim but determined. "Chen, Operation Sleeping Giant is in full effect. Our hidden fleets are engaging Zarkonian forces across the solar system. But we've got a bigger problem." The hologram shifted, showing a massive Zarkonian vessel emerging from faster-than-light travel near Jupiter. "Long-range scans indicate this is some kind of superweapon," Park continued. "If it reaches Earth, we're done for. You need to take it out." Sarah's mind raced, formulating a plan. "Understood, sir. We'll handle it." As the communication ended, Sarah turned to her crew. "Set course for Jupiter. Maximum speed." The Horizon shot through space, leaving the battle behind. As they approached the gas giant, the enormous Zarkonian superweapon came into view. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen, a behemoth that dwarfed even the largest human vessels. "Analysis," Sarah demanded. The science officer, Lieutenant Zora Okonkwo, studied her readings with wide eyes. It's a planet killer, Admiral. That thing could crack Earth like an egg." Sarah's jaw clenched. "Not if we have anything to say about it. Tactical, give me options." As they formulated a plan of attack, a transmission came through from the medical bay. It was Marcus, his voice filled with excitement. "Admiral, you need to see this. Ambassador Okoro. She's awake, and there's something else." Intrigued, Sarah made her way to the medical bay. There she found Lydia sitting up, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "Sarah," Lydia said, her voice resonating strangely. "The Zarkonian weapon, it didn't just hurt me. It changed me." Marcus explained breathlessly. "The combination of the alien energy and our nanites has altered her physiology. She's developed abilities. Telepathy, telekinesis. We're still discovering the extent of it." Lydia nodded solemnly. "I can sense the Zarkonians, Sarah. Their fears, their plans. And I think I can help stop that superweapon." Back on the bridge, Sarah outlined a daring plan. They would use the Horizon's advanced cloaking to get close to the superweapon. Then Lydia would use her newfound abilities to mentally interface with the alien ship systems, giving them a chance to sabotage it from within. As they approached the massive vessel, tension on the bridge was palpable. Everything hinged on this moment. If they failed, Earth was doomed. "Now, Lydia," Sarah commanded. The ambassador closed her eyes, concentrating intensely. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, alarms began blaring on the Zarkonian superweapon. Its weapons powered down. Its engines sputtered and died. "It's done," Lydia gasped, exhausted from the effort. "Their systems are in chaos. They're vulnerable." Sarah didn't hesitate. "All weapons, fire." The Horizon unleashed its full arsenal, joined by a wave of human ships dropping out of FTL. The superweapon, once an unstoppable juggernaut, now lay defenseless against the onslaught. As the massive ship began to break apart, a transmission came through. It was Vexlor, the Zarkonian leader, his arrogance replaced by shock and fear. How is this possible? You were supposed to be primitive, weak." Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. "You made a grave mistake, Vexlor. Humanity is far more than you imagined, and we don't take kindly to threats." As the superweapon exploded in a brilliant flash, Sarah knew the tide of the war had turned. Humanity had revealed its true strength, and the galaxy would never be the same. But even as they celebrated this victory, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The Zarkonians had awakened a sleeping giant, and now humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, whether the galaxy was ready for them or not. The tide turns. The destruction of the Zarkonian superweapon sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. As news of their devastating loss spread, panic began to set in among the Zarkonian ranks. Humanity, far from being the easy conquest they had anticipated, was proving to be a formidable and unpredictable foe. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the EA's Horizon, watching as the combined human fleet pressed its advantage. The tables had turned, and now it was the Zarkonians who were on the defensive. "Status report," Sarah commanded, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. Commander Rajpatal responded promptly. "The Zarkonian fleet is in disarray, Admiral. They're attempting to regroup near Saturn's rings, but our forces are keeping them scattered." Sarah nodded, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "Good. It's time we show them what else we can do. Prepare for Phase 2 of Operation Thunderbolt." As the order went out, the human fleet began to change. Ships that had appeared to be standard cruisers suddenly transformed, revealing hidden weapon systems and reconfiguring into more aggressive formations. The Zarkonians watched in horror as the human vessels they thought they understood became something entirely different and far more dangerous. Meanwhile, in the medical bay, Dr. Marcus Rivera continued to study the changes in Ambassador Lydia Okoro. Her newfound abilities were growing stronger by the hour, and she was learning to control them with increasing precision. "It's extraordinary," Marcus marveled, reviewing the latest test results. "The combination of the Zarkonian energy weapon and our nanites has fundamentally altered your DNA. You're evolving, Lydia, becoming something more." Lydia flexed her hand, watching as small arcs of energy danced between her fingers. "I can feel them, Marcus. All of them. The Zarkonians, our own people. It's like I'm connected to a vast network of minds." Their conversation was interrupted by a priority call from the bridge. "Dr. Rivera, Ambassador Okoro, report to the command center immediately." Sarah's voice came through, tight with urgency. When they arrived, they found the bridge abuzz with activity. Sarah turned to them, her face grim. "We've intercepted a Zarkonian transmission. They're planning to use some kind of psychic weapon against us, something that could incapacitate our entire fleet in one stroke." Lydia stepped forward, her eyes glowing faintly. "I can sense it. They're gathering their strongest telepaths, focusing their power. But," she paused, a look of determination crossing her face, "I think I can stop them." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "How?" "If I can link with our fleet's AI systems, I might be able to create a psychic shield. Not just for us, but for all our ships," Lydia explained. Marcus interjected, concern evident in his voice. "Lydia, the strain on your mind could be enormous. We don't know what kind of damage it could do." Lydia met his gaze steadily. "We don't have a choice. This is our best shot at protecting our people." Sarah nodded solemnly. "Do it." As Lydia prepared to link with the fleet's systems, the Zarkonians launched their attack. A wave of psychic energy rolled out across space, invisible but potent. Zarkonian ships watched eagerly, expecting to see the human fleet suddenly paralyzed. Instead, they witnessed something unprecedented. A shimmering barrier of blue energy enveloped the human ships, deflecting the psychic assault harmlessly away. On the horizon's bridge, Lydia stood at the center of a swirling vortex of holographic data, her mind connected to every ship in the fleet. "Impossible." Vexlor's voice crackled over an open channel, disbelief evident in his tone. "What manner of defense is this?" Sarah allowed herself a grim smile as she opened a channel to the Zarkonian flagship. "You're not the only ones with a few surprises up your sleeve, Vexlor. Humanity has been preparing for this moment for longer than you can imagine." As the Zarkonians reeled from their failed attack, the human fleet pressed forward. Ships equipped with gravity manipulation technology created localized singularities, trapping enemy vessels. Others deployed swarms of nanobots that ate through Zarkonian hull plating like acid. On a distant moon of Saturn, a team of human special forces, led by Major Elena Kovacs, infiltrated a key Zarkonian command center. Using advanced stealth technology and augmented reality implants, they moved unseen through the alien facility. "Team, status check," Elena whispered into her comm. "Alpha in position. Beta ready. Gamma standing by." Elena nodded to herself. "Execute." In a coordinated strike, the human operatives unleashed a devastating attack on the Zarkonian base. Quantum charges detonated, taking out power systems and communications arrays. Genetically engineered microbes, harmless to humans but lethal to Zarkonian biology, were released into the air filtration systems. Within minutes, the command center was in chaos. Elena's team secured vital intelligence and transmitted it back to the fleet before rigging the base to self-destruct. As they exfiltrated, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had been underestimated, but they were proving their worth in ways the Zarkonians could never have anticipated. Back on the horizon, Lydia finally severed her connection to the fleet's systems, collapsing into Marcus's arms, exhausted but triumphant. "It worked," she gasped. "We're safe." Sarah turned to her tactical officer. "Status of the Zarkonian fleet." "They're in full retreat, Admiral," came the reply. "We've taken out over 60% of their forces. The rest are falling back to their home system." A cheer went up across the bridge. They had done it. Humanity had not only survived the Zarkonian onslaught, but had turned the tables entirely. As the celebration died down, Sarah's expression became serious once more. "This isn't over," she reminded her crew. "We've won the battle, but the war is far from finished. The Zarkonians will be back, and they'll be desperate. We need to be ready." She turned to gaze out at the stars, her mind already racing with plans for the next phase of the conflict. Humanity had proven its worth today, but Sarah knew that the greatest challenges, and perhaps the greatest triumphs, still lay ahead. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. Now, it was time to show them exactly what they were capable of. Alien realization and desperation. The Zarkonian High Command was in chaos. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy, each more dire than the last. Human forces had not only repelled their invasion, but were now pushing into Zarkonian territory with alarming speed and efficiency. High Emissary Vexlor, once confident in his species' superiority, now found himself facing the very real possibility of total defeat. He paced nervously in the war room of the Zarkonian capital ship, Eternal Dominion. How? He snarled at his advisors. How could we have miscalculated so gravely? Chief Strategist Zalmar, her scales dulled with stress, spoke up. It appears the humans have been concealing their true capabilities for centuries, Emissary. Our initial scans and observations were woefully inadequate. Vexlor's eyes narrowed. Explain. Their technology, their tactics, even their biology. It's all far more advanced than we ever imagined, Zalnar continued. The human we struck down with the phase disruptor. She not only survived, but has developed abilities that rival our most powerful Shins. Their ships can reconfigure mid-battle, their weapons bypass our strongest shields, and their AI systems. They're unlike anything we've ever encountered. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Zarkonians, who had long considered themselves the apex predators of the galaxy, were facing an enemy that outmatched them on every front. Vexler's voice was low and dangerous when he finally spoke. Options. Give me options, or I'll have all of your heads. Meanwhile, aboard the EA's Horizon, Admiral Sarah Chen was coordinating the human counteroffensive. The bridge hummed with activity as reports came in from across the front lines. Admiral. Commander Raj Patel called out, "We're receiving a priority transmission from Arcturus Station. It's Dr. Ilara Vance from Project Prometheus." Sarah's eyebrows rose. Project Prometheus was humanity's most secretive and advanced research initiative. Put her through. Dr. Vance's hologram appeared, her eyes bright with excitement. Admiral Chen, we've done it. The Prometheus device is ready. Sarah leaned forward, her voice hushed. You're certain? Ilara nodded. All simulations are green. With this, we can end the war in one stroke. As Sarah contemplated the implications, Ambassador Lydia Okoro entered the bridge, her presence immediately drawing attention. Since fully embracing her new abilities, Lydia seemed to radiate an aura of power and wisdom. I sense great turmoil among the Zarkonians, Lydia said, her voice echoing slightly. Their leaders are desperate, considering options that could have catastrophic consequences for both our species. Sarah frowned. What kind of options? There's a weapon, Lydia continued, her eyes unfocused as she sifted through the psychic impressions. Something ancient and terrible. They call it the Void Hammer. If unleashed, it could tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. The bridge fell silent, the weight of this revelation settling heavily on everyone present. Sarah's jaw set with determination. Then we need to strike first. Dr. Vance, how soon can the Prometheus device be deployed? We can have it ready within 12 hours. Admiral, Ilara responded. Make it 6, Sarah ordered. We're running out of time. As preparations for humanity's final push began, the Zarkonians were making desperate moves of their own. On their homeworld, deep beneath the surface of a barren moon, Vexlor stood before an ancient artifact, the Void Hammer. Are you certain this is wise, Emissary? Zelnar asked, her voice trembling. The old records speak of the devastation this weapon can cause. We may not be able to control it. Vexler's eyes gleamed with a manic light. Control. We're beyond such concerns, strategist. If we cannot rule the galaxy, then perhaps it's time to remake it entirely. As he reached out to activate the artifact, alarms blared throughout the facility. Human forces, led by Major Alina Kovacs and her special operations team, had infiltrated the moon base. "Stop them," Vexlor screamed. "We need more time." But it was too late. Alina and her team burst into the chamber, their advanced weaponry making short work of the Zarkonian guards. "Step away from the artifact," Alina commanded, her rifle trained on Vexlor. The Zarkonian leader snarled in defiance. "You have no idea what you're dealing with, human. This weapon could unmake your entire species." Alina's voice was steel. "And yours along with it. Stand down." For a moment, it seemed Vexlor might comply. Then, with a roar of desperate rage, he lunged for the void hammer. Time seemed to slow. Alina's finger tightened on the trigger. Zelnar moved to intercept her leader, and in orbit above, the E's horizon prepared to fire the Prometheus device. The chamber erupted in chaos. Energy beams crisscrossed the room as human and Zarkonian forces clashed. The void hammer began to pulse with an otherworldly light, its power building to catastrophic levels. Aboard the horizon, Sarah gave the order. "Fire the Prometheus device." Now, a beam of pure, distilled energy lanced down from the human flagship, piercing the moon's crust and striking the heart of the Zarkonian facility. The Prometheus device, the culmination of humanity's scientific achievement, was designed not to destroy, but to nullify, to cancel out energy on a quantum level. As the beam struck, the void hammer's building power simply vanished. The ancient artifact went dark, its threat neutralized in an instant. In the sudden silence that followed, Vexlor fell to his knees, his grand plans for galactic domination crumbling before his eyes. Alina approached, her weapon still raised. "In the name of the United Earth Government," she declared, "I place you under arrest for crimes against sentient life." As Vexlor was taken into custody, Sarah received word of the mission's success. She turned to Lydia, who stood serenely on the bridge. "It's over," Sarah said, a mix of relief and disbelief in her voice. Lydia shook her head, a small smile on her lips. "No, Admiral, it's just beginning. The galaxy now knows what humanity is capable of. Our real journey is only just starting." As the Horizon's crew celebrated their victory, Sarah gazed out at the stars. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged triumphant. But as Lydia said, this was not an end, but a beginning. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once. It would not make that mistake again. Resolution and aftermath. In the days following the defeat of the Zarkonian forces and the neutralization of the Void Hammer, a tense calm settled over the galaxy. The EA's horizon, now a symbol of humanity's unexpected might, orbited the Zarkonian homeworld. On its bridge, Admiral Sarah Chin prepared for what might be the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. "Are you ready for this?" Sarah asked, turning to Ambassador Lydia Okoro. Lydia nodded, her eyes glowing faintly with her newfound power. "As ready as I'll ever be. The fate of two species rests on what happens today." The two women made their way to the Horizon's conference room, where representatives from both humanity and the Zarkonian Empire awaited. Among them was the captured High Emissary Vexlor, his once proud demeanor now subdued and wary. As Sarah and Lydia entered, all eyes turned to them. The room was thick with tension, years of conflict and misunderstanding hanging heavy in the air. Sarah stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "We stand at a crossroads. The war that has ravaged our worlds can end here today. But for that to happen, we must move beyond the mistakes and misconceptions of the past." Vexlor, his voice hoarse, spoke up. "You've defeated us utterly, human. What more could you want?" Lydia stepped forward, her presence commanding attention. "Not defeat, emissary. Understanding." With a gesture, Lydia created a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed the history of both species, their triumphs, their struggles, their hopes and fears. For too long, we've seen each other as threats, Lydia continued. The Zarkonians saw humans as primitive, easy prey. Humanity saw the Zarkonians as ruthless invaders, but we're more alike than either of us realized. The display shifted, showing the incredible advancements both species had made. Zarkonian bioengineering marvels alongside human AI breakthroughs, alien terraforming techniques next to human quantum mechanics theories. Together, Lydia said, her voice resonating with power and conviction, we could achieve things neither of us could dream of alone. The room was silent as her words sank in. Then, slowly, a Zarkonian scientist stepped forward. The human speaks truth, she said, her voice trembling slightly. I studied their technology. Combined with ours, we could solve problems that have plagued us for millennia. More voices joined in from both sides. The tension in the room began to dissolve, replaced by cautious optimism and curiosity. Sarah watched with a mixture of pride and amazement as former enemies began to engage in excited scientific discussions. She caught Vexilor's eye and moved to speak with him privately. Your people have much to answer for, she said quietly. Vexilor nodded, his eyes downcast. As do yours, I suspect. We've both made grave errors. True, Sarah agreed. But perhaps those errors can lead us to a better future if we're willing to learn from them. As the impromptu cultural exchange continued, Dr. Marcus Rivera burst into the room, his eyes wide with excitement. Admiral, Ambassador, you need to see this. He pulled up a new holographic display, showing data from the Prometheus device's activation. When we fired the device at the Void Hammer, it didn't just nullify the energy. It opened something. The display zoomed in, showing a microscopic tear in the fabric of space-time. It's a gateway, Marcus explained breathlessly. To somewhere else. Somewhere beyond our universe. The room erupted in excited chatter. Humans and Zarkonians alike crowded around the display, their former enmity forgotten in the face of this incredible discovery. Lydia stepped forward, her eyes glowing brightly. I can sense it, she said, her voice filled with wonder. A vast network of realities, all connected. The multiverse, it's real. Sarah turned to Vexilor, a gleam in her eye. Still think we're primitive. The Zarkonian leader shook his head, a look of begrudging respect on his face. I think, Admiral, that we've all been humbled today. Resolution and aftermath. In the days following the defeat of the Zarkonian forces and the neutralization of the Void Hammer, a tense calm settled over the galaxy. The EA's horizon, now a symbol of humanity's unexpected might, orbited the Zarkonian homeworld. On its bridge, Admiral Sarah Chin prepared for what might be the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. Are you ready for this? Sarah asked, turning to Ambassador Lydia Okoro. Lydia nodded, her eyes glowing faintly with her newfound power. As ready as I'll ever be. The fate of two species rests on what happens today. The two women made their way to the Horizons conference room, where representatives from both humanity and the Zarkonian Empire awaited. Among them was the captured High Emissary Vexilor, his once proud demeanor now subdued and wary. As Sarah and Lydia entered, all eyes turned to them. The room was thick with tension, years of conflict and misunderstanding hanging heavy in the air. Sarah stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. We stand at a crossroads. The war that has ravaged our worlds can end here today. But for that to happen, we must move beyond the mistakes and misconceptions of the past. Vexilor, his voice hoarse, spoke up. You've defeated us utterly, human. What more could you want? Lydia stepped forward, her presence commanding attention. Not defeat, emissary. Understanding. With a gesture, Lydia created a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed the history of both species, their triumphs, their struggles, their hopes and fears. For too long, we've seen each other as threats, Lydia continued. The Zarkonians saw humans as primitive, easy prey. Humanity saw the Zarkonians as ruthless invaders. but we're more alike than either of us realized. The display shifted, showing the incredible advancements both species had made. Zirconian bioengineering marvels alongside human AI breakthroughs. Alien terraforming techniques next to human quantum mechanics theories. Together, Lydia said, her voice resonating with power and conviction, we could achieve things neither of us could dream of alone. The room was silent as her words sank in. Then, slowly, a Zirconian scientist stepped forward. The human speaks truth, she said, her voice trembling slightly. I've studied their technology. Combined with ours, we could solve problems that have plagued us for millennia. More voices joined in from both sides. The tension in the room began to dissolve, replaced by cautious optimism and curiosity. Sarah watched with a mixture of pride and amazement as former enemies began to engage in excited scientific discussions. She caught Vexilor's eye and moved to speak with him privately. Your people have much to answer for, she said quietly. Vexilor nodded, his eyes downcast. As do yours, I suspect. We've both made grave errors. True, Sarah agreed. But perhaps those errors can lead us to a better future if we're willing to learn from them. As the impromptu cultural exchange continued, Dr. Marcus Rivera burst into the room, his eyes wide with excitement. Admiral, Ambassador, you need to see this. He pulled up a new holographic display, showing data from the Prometheus device's activation. When we fired the device at the Void Hammer, it didn't just nullify the energy. It opened something. The display zoomed in, showing a microscopic tear in the fabric of space-time. It's a gateway, Marcus explained breathlessly. To somewhere else, somewhere beyond our universe. The room erupted in excited chatter. Humans and Zirconians alike crowded around the display, their former enmity forgotten in the face of this incredible discovery. Lydia stepped forward, her eyes glowing brightly. I can sense it, she said, her voice filled with wonder. A vast network of realities, all connected. The multiverse, it's real. Sarah turned to Vexilor, a gleam in her eye. Still think we're primitive. The Zirconian leader shook his head, a look of begrudging respect on his face. I think, Admiral, that we've all been humbled today.